Film Focus is the newspaper drama genre focusing on the films Spotlight and All the President's Men. The topic is how Spotlight and All the President's Men reflect different historical events and the work of journalists at the time. Both films are American and are based on true stories but reflect a different historical event and time period. Spotlight reflects the 2000s and focuses on the sexual abuse scandal uncovered by the Boston Globe, while All the President's Men illuminates the 1970s and the Watergate scandal unveiled by the Washington Post. An Algerian French philosopher, Jacques Derrida, emphasizes that every text participates in one or several genres. There is no genreless text. There's always a genre and genres, yet such participation never amounts to belonging. Genre theory includes genres such as science fiction, film noir, and even newspaper dramas. Most newspaper dramas focus or are influenced by real journalistic work and explore the nature of journalism, such as ethical dilemmas and newspaper dynamics between editors, reporters, and sources. Examples of the newspaper drama genre are films such as the 1969 film Z, 1941 film Citizen Kane, 2015 film Spotlight, and the 1976 film All the President's Men, all of which present journalistic work in different ways and reflect different cultural and historical backgrounds. All the President's Men, which shows how Bob Woodward and Carl Bernstein uncovered the Watergate scandal, can be argued as one of the most famous examples of a newspaper drama. A review from the Chicago Sun-Times even said it provides the most observant study of working journalists we're ever likely to see in a feature film. Screenwriter of Spotlight, a film that focuses on the uncovering of the Boston church scandal, Josh Singer, even said that All the President's Men was a movie that both him and the director, Tom McCarthy, studiously avoided watching while they were trying to make Spotlight because it was the bar. By analyzing how cinematography, screenplay, and editing are utilized, I will show how two newspaper drama films from different time periods present the reality of journalistic work as well as their corresponding scandals differently. Lighting, camera movement, and mise-en-scène all play a big role in both films. Both films balance between light and shadow in order to highlight the corruption and secrecy of the world, and how journalism shines a light on it. All the President's Men cinematographer Gordon Willis, also known as the Prince of Darkness, uses extreme contrast between light and shadow in moments of key importance, such as when Carl Bernstein meets up with Deep Throat. Even though it is less evident in Spotlight, the cinematographer Masanobu Takaneyaki uses shadow in a similar way, such as when Matty Carroll discovers that an abusive priest is his neighbor. Both films also recreated their respective newsrooms, the Washington Post and the Boston Globe, and depict them as bright spaces, implying how newspapers are where dark and secret things are unveiled, such as the two different stories that both the newspapers are uncovering. Additionally, the significance of their work is also highlighted through camera movement and mise-en-scène. One shot that even Willis describes as out of the ordinary was when Woodward and Bernstein look over the material requested by the White House in the Library of Congress. The camera pulls back from the two characters, implying the larger story they were uncovering. Additionally, the monuments and destinations in Washington, D.C., like the Library of Congress, U.S. Capitol, and even the Watergate Hotel, are used to signify the scandal and the presence of the government in the city. Contrastingly, in Spotlight, when the journalists begin interviewing a vast number of people, there are multiple tracking shots and pans, but it also features a similar pullback. While the tracking and pan shots highlight the amount of work going behind the reporting, the pullback, like in All the President's Men, highlights the significance of the work and the church in Boston. As Derrida said, being in the same genre does not mean they necessarily belong. All the President's Men leans toward more extreme contrast, while Spotlight looks more natural in like our everyday lives. However, both use cinematography to emphasize the meaning of journalistic work, one in the 70s and one in the 2000s, which is to be watchdogs and expose corruption in our community, as well as highlight the powerful influences in society, such as the government or the church. In Spotlight, the repetition in the dialogue is also used to emphasize the power of the Christian church in Boston.
You want to sue the church?
Supposed to sue the church?
Globe sues church? You want to sue the Catholic Church?
Looking closer at screenplay, which both films won the Academy Award for Best Screenplay for, All the President's Men won Best Adapted Screenplay, while Spotlight won Best Original Screenplay. Although both opening scenes illuminate the real scandals the journalists cover, which is the Watergate scandal of the 70s and the church sexual abuse scandal of the 2000s, most of the film follows the journalists and emphasizes their ethical dilemmas. In Spotlight, the story arc centers around the ethicality of reporting. Walter Robbie Robinson's character arc mostly revolves around his struggle with his choice years ago to bury the story, as he realizes that Phil Saviano and Eric McLeish both sent evidence to the Boston Globe years ago before the current investigation.
You should have clarified it 5 years ago when I sent you all of this stuff.
So I sent you guys a list of names, and you buried it.
Over the course of the film, we see him come to terms with his own mistakes.
We buried the story in Metro. No follow.
That was you. You were Metro.
Yeah, that was me.
highlighting the importance of shedding light on issues in order to stop their perpetuation. Additionally, Matt Carroll, one of the main investigative reporters' character arc, mostly dealt with whether to tell his neighbors that they lived next to an abusive priest, even though it could leak the story.
I know that the work we do is confidential, but I'm feeling like I should tell him.
We'll tell him soon.
You sure?
Go.
Okay.
In All the President's Men, there is no ethical dilemma about breaking the story, but the film argues about the integrity of the reporting itself, and the struggle of protecting sources through screenplay and character arcs. Journalism needs sources, but portraying a source, especially a story as big as the Watergate scandal, could have detrimental effects on their interviewees. Deep Throat, who was actually Mark Felt, was an important character in the film who helped unravel the secrecy of the Watergate scandal, even adding the key motto that helps them find leads.
Just follow the money.
However, he is also a major character that both the main characters protect through dialogue and a long pause in one of the scenes.
Deep Throat.
He's not a source on this.
God damn it, when is somebody gonna go on the record in this story?
Even though the two films cover different events that are from different time periods, minor characters are also used throughout both films to highlight how many sources they speak to. In Spotlight, however, the eeriness of the story is also highlighted through minor characters.
Right. But you admit to molesting boys at St. John the Baptist?
Yes, but as I said, I never got any pleasure from it.
When Sasha Pfeiffer talks to an abusive priest, the dialogue and conversation create a creepy mood. The writers intentionally leave the conversation unfinished, and also using blocking to associate children with a pedophilic priest to show the importance of uncovering these historical events. Even though these two films cover a different group of reporters and a different scandal, the film keeps coming back to integrity and the ethics of journalism. Editing is also used in both films to highlight the repetitive, long process of reporting. As Evan Pushak's video analyzing Spotlight stated, newspaper dramas go through a process of dramatizing the undramatized, the real unglamorous daily slog of a reporter, and if you don't communicate that in a movie about journalism, you haven't really done what you set out to do. In Spotlight, tonal montages are used to highlight the research and interviewing that went into the process. In other words, using the time of a minute or so to show the amount of work that went behind the reporting. A similar montage is also used in All the President's Men, illuminating the number of sources they looked through and the detailed reporting both teams had to do. Additionally, as Walter Murch once emphasized, cutting should be for emotion first and foremost. In both films, there are use of long takes, most of the time accompanied by push-ins or pullbacks to emphasize emotion and significance. All the President's Men features long shots of Bernstein and Woodward calling sources or depicting the process of writing the article. In one example, the shot of them typing is also accompanied by a TV screen showing the news as Nixon swears in for another term. This foreshadows the impact that the two reporters' work would have on Nixon's second term. In this instance, the relationship between journalism, media, and politics is portrayed. Even though politicians can use media to broadcast and promote their campaigns, journalists can also uncover their secrets and unveil the dark to let in the light. In Spotlight, long takes are used to highlight the pervasiveness of the issue relating to religion instead of politics. In one instance, a long take is used when the four reporters interview Richard Sipe and find out that there could be potentially 90 pedophilic priests in Boston. In both films, although one uses long takes to show the writing process of the journalist while the other shows the reporting process, long takes are used to highlight emotion and illuminate the importance of the story. In both films, although one uses long takes to show the writing process of the journalist while the other shows the reporting process, long takes are used to highlight emotion and illuminate the importance of the story, showing how in the past and in the 21st century, journalistic work is integral to our society. Even though Spotlight was influenced by All the President's Men, both films have their own take on the newspaper drama genre, maybe even proving what Derrida says about belonging in several genres too. But in both films, they highlight how journalists provide citizens with information necessary for them to make the best decisions in their lives. In a similar way, film does too. The way that film portrays newspapers and the role of journalists is important, and vary based on time and background, which we see in these two films. It's important for cinema to illuminate stories like this, especially in a society where people may not be as familiar with journalism or the power it holds. Both filmmaking and journalism will continue to have an important impact in our politics, our society, and our lives.